Yo, 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 yo. How's it hanging, everybody? Me, Arknolia Strokamine, are live right now. And of course, this is Music Maniacs. And I guess we're looking at part six of our look into the 1980s music scene there. All the bands, the artists, and all the songs that they have created throughout that whole decade. And some other tidbits thrown in regarding the 80s just as well there. Quick reminder, tomorrow night, Movie Madness hits the airways at the same time as we're hitting right now. And we'll be taking a look at Stephen King's one of his most relatable characters, Carrie White. We're going to be taking a look at Carrie, the original, the remake, the musical, the TV movie, and a sequel that came out years after the original there called The Rage. We're going to be taking a look at probably who I consider were the original Sith Lords way before Palpatine, Darth Vader, Darth Tyrannus, and everybody else within that realm. That'll be at tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And also, let me get a chance to plug ARC's Patreon ahead of time now. Go to patreon.com/Arknolia and pick whatever tier you decide, and you can listen, learn, and enjoy from all the endless amounts of material that the dude with on the call with me has got on his Patreon. Definitely give it a listen and enjoy and learn as well, people. All right, there. All right, so there you go. I plugged your Patreon. There you go, dude.
Cool.
That's right there. Yeah, so definitely do so, everybody there. Now we tried to get YR on the call there. He said he would hop on. He'll probably hop on later on this evening here. We're having trouble getting a hold of Keith. I don't know where the heck he's been for a while there, but I'll give it. I'll try to get a Keith on the call. I'm gonna also see if I can add some other participants as well here. I think maybe Ken from Farmhouse Network is on the call here. Maybe we should probably call him. I know it's kind of unexpected, but yeah, let me try to get YR once back here before I do so there. In the meantime, I got this little article here from Metal Sucks, and apparently there's a war of words going on between drum legend Carmine Appice and Nikki Sixx of Motley Crue. Now, as we stated last week, according to Carmine Appice, his friend Mick Mars of Motley Crue expressed his distastefulness of the crew using backing tracks when they were doing that stadium tour. I mean, it was obviously being shown left and right there. There was a couple of incidents where it was proven to be backing tracks, like for instance, Tommy Lee, missing his cue to do the drums when the drum track has already started there. So that remained lots of questioning right there. Now, in response to that, Nikki Sixx apparently called Appice a washed up drummer. Wow, that's something that's a hard hitting one there, which prompted Appice to hit even harder. In his tweet, he pointed this out, quote unquote, at least this washed up drummer can still play his instrument. Well, who has pioneered heavy rock drumming and it can educate others around the world on his instrument. And let's not forget, Appice is a legend in the drumming world there. He played with Vanilla Fudge. He spent many years with Rod Stewart. He played with Ozzy Osbourne in his '83 tour. He had a band called King Cobra, which he was the only black haired dude in there. Everybody else in the band had white hair. And also, he had a project called Blue Murder featuring John Sykes, the ex guitarist from Whitesnake. He had a song called Jelly Roll and Kings or something like that. I forgot the other. Valley of the Kings. That's the name of the song there. I remember hearing back then. Yep.
And he had an album with Beck and Bogert and Appice,
That's true there.
self-titled.
Yep. And featuring the late Tim Bogert and the late Jeff Beck as well there. Now, According to the article here, that to the article where I got, obviously this is from the writer's point of view, that Motley Crue has been shown recently how much of a shell they are of their former selves, especially when you hear the vocal attempts of Vince Neil. Now, the article states that it's important to mention that all this kicked off when an interview with the piece ran on Ultimate Guitar earlier this month. Not only that, but the offending part is more of a my friend told me this in confidence, but I'm going to say it in public anyway type of situation there. Now, of course, let's go back to what Carmen has said. He said, quote, well, I'll tell you what, I've been talking to Mick and he told me when he was on the stadium tour, he was not happy. Everything was on tape, basically, there. It was all planned out and immediately and ultimately a lot of crap. And Mick is a pretty good player. He is, folks, despite his condition. He's still able to crank out those riffs and solos there. So now to let him loose and play the way he wants, that was never going to work with him, using backing tracks. The truth is that everything has been weird for a while with Motley Crue, and Mick didn't like that everything was on tape. Mick told me that people came to see if they could tell that it was pre-recorded and everything was on tape. When you play a stadium like that, and these were big-ass stadiums that cost thousands in ticket sales there, you could hear a lot of things come through the monitors and what doesn't. And with Vince's vocals, the bass of Nicky, the drums of Tommy, and the guitars of Mick, all in the other stuff, it was all on tape. Mick was pissed about it and said, I can play these things. I want to play them. I don't want to make believe that I'm playing them. So I think that's one of the reasons why he said, I'm done. Other than his spine condition that he's been going through since the age of 17 there. Sure, the
Yeah,
disease.
it's kind of like the old American Bandstand days, kind of.
Yep, absolutely. But the thing is, if you're paying that much amount of money to see all these bands, including Motley Crue, you should at least reward your audience and thank them by performing for real instead of
Right.
relying on backing tracks for crying out loud. You know?
Yeah. It was okay on American Bandstand because nobody paid for that.
Absolutely, there.
Well,
Yes.
except the American Bandstand people, obviously. But
Yeah, there. I mentioned this a few times on the music show. One of the best moments of that program was when John Lydon, formerly at the Sex Pistols, had his post Pistols group, Public Image Limited, go on there to do a song called what's it called there? Pop Tones. Look it up on YouTube. It's about more than 10 minutes long. They kind of like mocked at the lip syncing there. Johnny Light didn't even lip sync at all. He was too busy dragging people out of the crowd, out on the floor, to dance along the band. You know, Dick Clark was amazed. Like, Johnny, you want them to sit back in their seats? No, let them dance, man. Let them dance. And next thing you know, they went into Careering, another PIL song. They were lip syncing there. And one of the moments there, the members of PIL were switching instruments. And
it's kind of reminiscent about when I saw the Lemon Pipers do Green Tambourine. Their guitar player kept screwing around with his guitar and doing things that like, well, he's obviously not playing it.
Yep.
You know, so they pretty much, a lot of them rock. And when you look, a lot of times the guitars aren't plugged in.
Yep.
You know, that sort
Absolutely.
of thing.
And especially, and especially the most obvious of all, the way the performing sounds exactly like the record. Exactly like the record. Now,
Even with bizarre sounds
exactly
that
there.
aren't there.
Exactly. And when the song fades out, you still hear the drums in the background. So obviously the drummer was drumming along with the lip singing, obviously there. You could tell there. And of course the kids and the little girls and boys in the audience all buying this up there. I was like, come on, people. Come on, boys and girls. A real band performs live. Thank you very much. And another program that did this was the show Solid Gold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you remember that? I know. I thought it was pretty cool at the time when you started watching it, but no. So when you look at it, it's like,
Well, let's give Midnight Special credit because a lot of times bands did play live. The groups
absolutely,
did
there,
play live.
absolutely, yes. Credit to Don Kirshner for starting that, and it's also Wolfman Jack being the host of that program because that show was high. I don't know if it's underrated or underappreciated, but that show really is one of the first MTV moments in TV there. Way before MTV, people would tune into that to see bands perform live in front of a
Yeah.
studio audience. Absolutely. Yeah. And going back to Solid Gold, my my sister and my mom used to say, "These dancers cannot dance worth a crap."
And yet, you would see them rate a record and they say, well, I'm only going to rate this a 40 because I can't dance to it. So,
Oh gosh. Oh dude. Oh dude. Oh dude, man. Well, either way, that's the only news we have so far. Now, I'm going to try. Let me see if I could get Ken from Farmhouse Network on the call here. It's been a while since we called him. I know we're
well, if he's
unable.
busy.
Okay, I'll give it a shot. If he's unavailable, I'll give it a. I'll give it a, this. I'll just let it rest for now. There. Okay. See how he's doing. It's been a while since we had him on the show here. Because I was hoping he could participate in our talk about the 80's there, which we're still continuing. I guess we're on part 6, if I'm correct there.
Yeah, and it'll probably continue on because I'm only in 1982.
Wow, man, that's something there. Wow, that's a trip. And we got a long ways. We got lots of things going on in the 80's. There are a lot of good music, got good movies, got a lot of good shit there happening there. Oh, yeah, Live Aid. We got to definitely talk about that concert sometime soon on a future episode. All right. All right, so shall we begin?
Okay, first song up is John Cougar, Hurts So Good.
Yeah, that was one of his breakout hits there. That
Yeah,
was when.
yeah,
Now he had other hits in the past under the John Cougar name. First
right.
one I heard of him was "I Need a Lover," which was in 1979, which Pat Benatar later covered on her first record as well.
Yep,
He had another record called "Nothing Matters But What If It Did," in which he had songs like "This Time," "Ain't Even Done with the Night." Those are the two hit singles from that record there. And then later on, we get American Fool, and we got both this song, Hurts So Good, and later on, Jack and Diane.
which was coming, but okay.
Yeah. Which is, I remember the video for that song almost got taken off MTV because of the outfits, the suggestive SBDSM clothing that the chick models were wearing and stuff like that there. So, but I guess I don't know if I read this here, but I guess they continue to still show the video either way there. I guess they
Right.
figure now to compare to the other videos that would later come on in along the way there, this video is pretty tame, you know?
Oh, yeah, because there was some, yeah, there were some.
Absolutely, yep. And of course, now no longer John Cougar no longer goes under that name. He just goes by his real name, John Mellencamp, which he originally wanted to use when he first started, but record executives figured, no, try John Cougar. It sounds a lot more badass, you know. He revolted first, but decided, you know what, I'll give it a shot. Of course, in between both sides there, he was John Cougar Mellencamp.
Right.
Yeah. Which was a pretty unique name to put at it when you think about it there. All right.
Next, next song I got is Survivor, Eye of the Tiger.
Oh, gosh. We all know what movie that came from, Rocky 3. This was the band Survivor's biggest hit there. It was all over the radio and music charts there. And remember, there was also a video that ran on MTV at that time. And this was one of the first times we ever got to meet and see Mr. T as a major player in the entertainment industry. People were so taken back by his name, his demeanor, the mohawk he sported at that time. And of course, Later, Mr. T would become a household name, preaching the words of God, teaching what is right and what's wrong. You may remember there was a Saturday morning cartoon series called The Mr. T Mysteries that I watched a couple times in the past. There. Like, of course, he had a thing called Mr. T's Commandments, for the album there, which I guess he was supposed to rap or sing or whatever it was. Most likely rap, He was standing for all things that were good in life there. Trying to be, try to use that tough guy image. And let's not forget WrestleMania #1, which he and his buddy Hulk Hogan, who became friends with during the filming of Rocky III, they were the tag team together against Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff, and Roddy Piper. Rest in peace to both those guys.
He is an also integral member of the A-Team.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, yeah. We cannot forget that TV series. That was how many years did that show ran?
Pretty good number, but I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I already did the connecting. All right.
Okay, next one I got on my list. Steve Miller Band, Abracadabra.
That was his biggest hit during that whole decade there.
Pretty much, which is interesting. It wasn't that album. It was the previous album. Had one full side, was one song, Macho City.
Yeah,
pretty good.
I think it was called Heart Like a Wheel there.
Yeah.
I remember, and I guess that record that record didn't really do that well. I guess the public's perspective was like, Steve, we waited how many years for this?
Which actually is interesting because that was a pretty good album.
Yeah.
Like I said, that 20-minute song I liked.
Yeah, really, Macho City. I gotta check that out sometime because I remember hearing about it a few times in the past there. So, so credit to Steve.
It was kind of his nod to progressive stuff because it's pretty progressive.
It's kind of funny. I remember when he played the Pine Knob Music Theater in Clarkston, Michigan. It was televised on one of the local TV stations there, and many weeks later, it was broadcasted on MTV on their Saturday night concert specials.
Yeah, they did those for a while.
I remember, yes, and I miss them. They had a lot of concerts. Bob Welch, The Fix, Iron Maiden, you name it. A lot of bands.
And in the early to mid 70s, Don Kirshner had a rock concert that was on Saturday night that he broadcast live stuff.
Yep.
Because I remember seeing Steely Dan when they first came out.
Yep.
I remember seeing Alice Cooper.
That's right.
And doing one of his shows, and the most memorable thing to me was when he did Killer.
The song Killer.
I don't know if you're familiar with that song or not, but
I don't think I have, no, but I only know the album and of course the album title.
Great song, and part of his stage performance on that was, well, if you're familiar with the song, he talks about going up and getting hung, and he actually did that on stage.
I know. That was
kind of like, holy cow.
I know. That was one of his big trips over there, that's for sure there.
But that was a good, the Killer album is a good album.
All right there, yeah. Of course, you all know the hit song from that record, Under My Wheels, is Ode to Detroit.
Yeah, and actually the previous album, he did a song on that called Ballad of Dwight Fry, which was a very, very good song.
Yeah, absolutely. One of his all-time classics there. Okay, so...
are we back?
Yes, we are. We've been live for we have been live for about more than 3 minutes now. We're back live. What I'll do is, again, I'll just take the first 60 minutes of the show and I'll mix it with this program here and just re-record it and upload it on my channel. There you go.
Okay.
All right, good.
Next one is a Jay Giles Band hit, Centerfold.
Oh, yeah. Okay, what? That was a big hit just as well. The album Freeze Frame that it came from.
Right. That was a good song.
Yeah, exactly. The Title Cub was also a good song. Rage in the Cage was a good song as well.
And then,
the Funky Flamethrower was... Go ahead.
Then you had the Human League, Don't You Want Me?
Yeah, which still gets played on the soft rock stations today.
Yeah, Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Because that
And
was
then the Chicago.
what's not. Well, no,
Go
what's
ahead.
be going back to the Humid League. I guess it's safe to say that what they did originally back in '82 with that song, and a couple others that followed, like "Keep Feeling Fascination," the Lebanon,
Right.
you know, Mirror Man, all those songs there, they kind of like helped pave the way for all these techno pop bands where it's just a singer and the keyboard
Right.
player with a drum machine. Other bands would follow, like Depeche Mode would come emerge onto the scene. Yazoo or Yaz here in the States, featuring former member of Depeche Mode, Vince Clarke. We also would see a band, some group there that was named after a French dessert. I cannot pronounce the name anymore there, unfortunately. And of course, a band out of Chicago that sounded British when they first emerged, Ministry, Alan Jorgensen and
Hmm.
Stephen George. And this was way back before the Ministry that we know would emerge into the heavy metal, hard rock, a massive volume overload band that they would become nowadays. In fact, Jorgensen, as I told about this before, has finally now embraced that album he did back in '83 with Sympathy, because in the past he would call that record a complete abortion, because he said it was like doing a record with a gun against your head, needless to say. But then again, that's how major labels are. Whatever's trending, everybody had to follow along, regardless if they wanted to or not. You know. So, yeah.
Then
Go.
Chicago released one of their little ballad things,
Oh yeah.
Hard to Say I'm Sorry.
Yes, and that was a big hit for the band, and it was also a new direction for the band. David Foster, a very respected music producer, got a hold of them, and he started rearranging things for them. Give them a few pointers and some education points there, and you know what? And even members of Chicago said he needed the ass kicking because they were not that hot for a while there. And you know what? A couple years afterwards, they would really make it big with "Stay the Night," "Hard for Me," "You're the Inspiration," "Prima Donna," like "When a Man Loves a Woman." All those songs there from the, I guess it was Chicago 17 was the name of the record, if I'm correct. Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And did credit to
And then
Dave.
we had,
Wait a minute. Let me give a nod to David Foster, because Foster had that ability to make whatever artist he sound. Basically, the sound he provided would be perfect for a sunny day out in the open, way out in the open. Say if you're sitting on top of a mountainside, or you're canoeing in the lake, you know, that's the atmosphere you get from some of his production. Whether it's some of Chicago's work, that song he produced with Shaka Khan, "Through the Fire," or that song I guess he did with Al Jarreau called "After All." Foster had that ability. So much credit to Mr. Foster for providing that kind of atmosphere to his artists that he produced.
oh, then you had Paul McCartney doing his thing with Stevie Wonder, Ebony and Ivory.
Yep, go together in perfect harmony. A unity song there, no doubt about that.
Yeah. Then a pretty good one by Toto, Rosanna, which is about Rosanna Arquette.
Yep, who the keyboard player was dating at that time there. And
Yeah.
and Total really made it big with the not. It was their fourth record. That song, Africa, that became a big. That later became the last year's "Don't Stop Believin'." That song got redone by the band Weezer long time ago, a long while ago there. So that became a big hit once again in terms of nostalgia.
And next was Hall & Oates doing I Can't Go For That, No Can Do.
Yeah, which I guess another one of those tracks that featured the drum machine when you look at it there. And that
Yep.
song will later
And
get sampled by the band Simply Red in a song called I forgot the title of it, but it's kind of they used to basically use the same beginning rhythm of that track of the whole notes track there. Yeah.
And then following that, we had "I Love Rock and Roll" by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, which
Yeah.
was a cover song, believe it or not.
Yeah, exactly. I guess she originally did that song with members of the Sex Pistols as a demo, and I guess they finally got to re-record it, and it became a big ass hit all over everywhere. Because apparently, what it was is that prior to this, 20 something record companies turned her down. Believe it or not, and this was after she
Hmm.
left the Runaways. And now she made it
Yeah.
big with this song here. It was all over radio. It was all over MTV. It was like, and sadly that it would take many few years later on for her to make it big on radio once again with "I Hate Myself for Loving You," and that was back in 1988.
And of course, she did a great cover of Crimson and Clover.
Yep, as well. The Tommy James song there. I'll also not give her. Let's give her props for the Gary Glitter cover that she did called. What's it called? Do you wanna touch? Yeah. Do you wanna touch? Yeah. And that was the only time we would see Joan Jett in a leather bikini. Keep that in mind. The video for that song, that is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next I got Men at Work. Who Can It Be Now?
Yep. And Men at Work
The
was
Men
one.
from Down Under.
Absolutely, there. That Down Under would be the follow-up single from that record, and a couple other songs like "Be Good, Johnny."
Overkill was great.
Yeah, that was another one that came from the second record there, and both those records really was massively big on MTV and radio just as well there. In fact, that would also spawn all these other bands from Australia to come and make it big here in America. Whether it's
Yeah.
soon afterwards, In Excess would follow footsteps with their song "The One Thing," "Don't Change," "Original Sin," "Listen Like Thieves," "This Time," "What You Need." They would have hits after hits after hits throughout the 80s there, as a couple of few in the 90s just as well there. In fact,
Yeah.
In Excess lasts longer than Men at Work did when you think about it. A couple of members had left, and then by 1985, it was just three members left, and then they released this one record, and I think it meant two something there in the title there. I forgot, but that record didn't really do that well, unfortunately. So sadly, Men at Work was basically at that point there.
Okay, next I got another Rick Springfield number.
Mm-hmm.
Don't Talk to Strangers.
I remember the video for that song there. Yeah, exactly. You know, I guess give Rick his due. He really, not only is he an accomplished musician and singer, he's also an actor as well. You may remember that around that time when Jesse's Girl, "I've Done Everything for You," and this song came out. He was had a guest. He basically had a starring role as Dr. Noah Drake, or no, is it Dr. Noah Drake?
On General Hospital, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. On there that ran on ABC television. And for that role, he had to learn how to speak American because we all know he's Australian,
Right.
and he's still and
talking about,
go ahead.
go ahead.
Yeah, and let's not forget that years before he was a part of a cartoon series called Mission Magic. Look that up
And that might have been about the time.
Go ahead.
That might have been about the time that he had his first song, "Speak to the Sky."
I believe so. Yes, and this is back in the 70s, around 74, 75. I'm not too sure how many seasons Mission Magic lasted on the TV there, but it was a quite unique thing there. That's when I first heard of Rick Springfield there.
Yeah. And speaking of videos, how about the video and suggestive nature of the song "Physical" by Olivia Newton-John?
Rest in peace, gal. You know, I was very heartbroken when she passed away because she was like one of my first female crushes, believe it or not. Otherwise, other,
Yeah.
with compared to Pat Benatar, Stevie Nicks, which were running amok on the radio at that time there. But and the video suggestion for that song, like, even that song even got banned from a few radio stations for being somewhat suggestive. I remember she even
Oh, it
said,
was very suggestive.
absolutely, there. You got to know your.
And I don't think she really knew it.
Yeah, but
That's the funny thing.
yeah. Basically, she even stated that 5 years before that song, she would have died over a controversy like that. But it was foolish at the time for them to take it so seriously like they did, you know? And now keep this in
Yeah.
mind, and by today's standards, the lyrics of that song would be like so
It's nothing.
tame, nothing compared to the stuff like the Two Live Crew or what Prince was putting on in his later on records at time, which was a lot more risque than what Olivia Newton-John was doing.
Yep. Then an interesting song, I thought anyway.
Hmm.
Uh, Quarter Flash, Harden My Heart.
Yeah, remember the
The
video
lead
for
singer also played saxophone.
Minnie Ross? That was her name there. And I don't know if she's still married to the guitar player of the band there. I'm not too sure, but you remember the video for that song
Well,
there?
yeah, did she play, besides the saxophone, she played, was it bass or rhythm guitar?
I think it was just she just sang and played saxophone. That was about it. I think it was,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that was all she did. I guess she had another song, another hit later on, a year later called "Take Me to Heart." That came on their second
Right.
record, and I guess they had released one record there years later, and that was it for them, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hmm.
Then we had the Alan Parsons Project with Eye in the Sky.
From the album the same name. Of course,
Right.
we know this the introduction. Basically, it was like two tracks into one, like Sirius slash Eye in the Sky. And we all know the Sirius piece as one of the beginning songs for whatever sports event that would happen. In fact, you remember JP Sports
Yeah, it's a
Radio.
big sporting one.
Absolutely. And next to the final countdown, which will emerge later on. And of course, Rock and Roll Part 2 by Gary Glitter. That was a big hit. And we also
Yeah.
cannot forget the double hits single from Queen. Both together was a hit
Yeah,
single.
and ELO had a song that was played on sporting events, and I'm trying to remember which one it was.
Fire on
Uh,
High?
I don't probably.
Maybe so.
And a group called Little Feat, they had a song that was played in sporting events. What's the name of it?
Uh,
Day at the Dog Races.
okay, there. Yeah, because right, I guess I'm not too sure what does the sporting events now, but I'm not. I don't know who really does it now at what sporting events. I guess they come up with their own music there, but they had a
I
lot
think
of.
so.
I think
It's kind of
rest.
like wrestling. For a lot of times, you used to play people's songs
Yeah,
for wrestlers coming in. Then all of a sudden, they had to write their own because it was costing them too much to use people's songs.
absolutely, because you got to pay royalties, and figure it's probably just as well, because like you said, takes a lot of money. Who could not forget when "Eye of the Tiger" was the theme song for Hulk Hogan for many years until Rick Derringer came up with "Real American."
Well, yeah, and he also used Voodoo Child's Slight Return.
Absolutely, and I guess they had to do a lot of. I guess they had to pay a lot of money to the Hendrix estate for about a few seconds of that song to be used when he was with the NWO there. Hogan was, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember when I watched Texas wrestling, uh, one of the Von Erichs, the big one,
Hmm.
God, I can't remember his name,
Texas
would come
Tornado.
into, well, that wasn't his name in Texas,
I know.
Kevin
Well,
Von Erich.
oh, Kevin, because I know Kenny Von
He would
Erich.
come to,
Go ahead.
no, or was it, it was Kerry Von Erich, the big
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
that actually was world champion in the NWO for a while.
Yeah, wow.
Not the NWO,
And the
NWA for a while.
NWA, yeah.
Anyway, he would come to the ring to Stranglehold.
Yeah.
Ted Nugent.
Great song. It's kind of, and you
But
may remember when Kerry Von Erich was, they rebranded him as the Texas Tornado. It's like, really? You're gonna get rid of this guy's name for a new nickname out of the blue? But then again, that's how the WWF was at that time. I mean, like, when you think about it, in their world, Scott Hall didn't exist. It was Razor Ramon. Kurt Hennig was Mr. Perfect, and Mr. Perfect, that was all about it. But then again,
and Kevin Nash was Diesel.
Yep, absolutely there. Yeah, yeah.
And
hmm
for years in Texas, the Ultimate Warrior was known as the Dingo Warrior.
Yes, I
But
remember
that
seeing
wasn't good enough
footage.
for
The WWF, no.
that wasn't good. They had to do,
The Ultimate Warrior.
And of course, well, when we get into our wrestling, I can talk about his earlier career before Dingo Warrior, when he was working in Georgia Wrestling and Great South and all of those.
Yep, he was, yeah.
When he was part of the Freedom Fighters.
And later the Blade Runners with Steve Borden, a.k.a. Sting.
Yeah, it was interesting because in the Blade Runners, Steve Borden was known as Sting, and I forgot his real name. Oh, Hellwig.
Jim Hellwig.
He was called Rock, not The Rock. Rock. That was his name.
Interesting there. Wow. That's interesting. Very interesting. We got to do a show for your Patreon about wrestling memories. In fact, I even issued an invitation to Sean's View to be able to participate, do a show about wrestling sometime soon. I haven't had a chance to DM him. In fact, I probably should be.
Yeah.
If he's not busy, I should probably like to add him to the call if sometime soon. Let me see if I could do this. I know it's kind of out of the blue there, but go ahead.
I'll move on to the next song where you're doing that.
Go ahead.
Fleetwood Mac had a song called Hold Me, which was pretty good.
Yep. I still remember the video for that song. And my favorite part of the video was when Mick and John discovered all that candy full of guitars all over the place there. Because at that time, I was learning how to play rock guitar. I had a teacher come over and teach me all these rock songs by Joe Walsh, other artists and such. So
next one I got on my list is, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go
next
ahead.
One I got on my list is, I don't want to be doing this for the next 6 months.
Okay.
Next one on my list is We Got the Beat by the Go-Go's.
Big hit for them. And that put their record label IRS onto the map as well.
Yeah. Then we got Vangelis did the theme to Chariots of Fire.
Oh, yeah.
Big hit.
Big hit for
In fact, I think that song won an Oscar.
I think so. Vangelis, I think it is.
Right, that's what I said.
Yep, absolutely. Because I always thought it was Vangelis. But Vangelis is an experimental keyboard musician himself, in the vein of Tangerine Dream, Klaus Schulze, and of course, Jean-Michel Jarre from France. Yeah, and also.
And you had Journey with.
Wait a minute. Oh, I also got to throw this out. Vangelis also did a couple albums with Yes frontman John Anderson. One of them was called The Friends of Mr. Cairo. I remember the video and song for that song there.
Then Journey put out one of their big hits, Open Arms.
Yep, from the same record, that Don't Stop Believin', Who's Crying Now, Stone in Love was on, Mother, Father, About the Strength of a Family, the album called Escape.
Yeah, it was one of their biggest ones.
Yep, and that was when we saw the debut of Jonathan Cain as their new keyboard player after Greg Rowley said goodbye.
Yeah. Then you had the Cars do Shake It Up.
Yeah. That's got played a few times, a lot of times on MTV. And in fact, a couple, the loudspeaker at my the radio that they have at my workplace, they've been playing a lot more 80s stuff like the Cars, Steve Miller, like Human League, this artist, that 80s artist there, Kaja Gugu included there, Duran Duran, they really go back. It's basically what soft rock stations were at that time, and this is before all the current artists that we have now would emerge.
Yeah. Next one I got is a Foreigner number.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting for a Girl Like You.
Yeah, from the fourth album.
Big
That's when
ballad,
big ballad
big
for them.
ballad hit.
Yeah, absolutely there. And of course, this at the same time when Foreigner would become a four-piece to go along with the fourth album, simply titled Four. I guess what I stated on the other program last week that they did, I guess a couple members either decided to leave or they got booted out or I guess
Of course, it was named Foreigner 4 because it's their fourth album.
absolutely there. Yep. And it was also four members left now. So there was a lot more.
Right. That was a coincidence.
Yeah. All right. So.
Okay, Air Supply, Sweet Dreams.
Oh, yeah. Air Supply were probably one of the biggest kings of the soft rock circuit around that time, along next to Laura Branigan.
Yeah. Then we had Tommy Two-Tone, 867535309, Jenny.
Yeah, that's right. I wonder, there was a big thing. I don't know if it was from a real number or what it was where they got the idea for that song. They must have made it up because I cannot tell you how many people actually tried calling that number. And
Well, Twilly Radio says no area code, so.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely there. And this is way before the area codes even emerged. Back then, it was just dialed the 7 digits, and that was about it.
Well, you still needed it to get to
other states there, yeah.
Places.
Or like other countries.
That's one of the reasons Hollywood, all their numbers start with 555, because that area code does not exist.
Mm-hmm, yep. Absolutely.
That way people don't call numbers that start with 555, because if they do, they probably get a recording that says, dumbass, this doesn't exist.
Most likely.
Or if they don't, they should.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, shit, man. All right, there. So, you know what?
Okay, next I got...
Go ahead.
The big man, Willie Nelson, Always on My Mind.
That was
which actually is it was a big hit for Elvis, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And later on, the Pet Shop Boys. They did their version of it years on down the line there.
Yeah. And then we follow with Juice Newton, The Sweetest Thing I've Ever Known.
Oh, yeah. And give her credit. She had a lot of hits on there. Playing with the Queen of Hearts, Angel in the Morning, Break to Me Gently, and the stuff you mentioned last week on this show here.
And she did, oh, darn my. Love's Been a Little Bit Hard on Me, which...
Oh, yeah.
That was a kind of like I guess a hurt song for whatever you want to...
Pretty much, yeah. All right.
Then we had George Benson, Turn Your Love Around.
That was a good song there. I think George Benson had another good song called Lady Love Me, which was a pretty good song there. Remember the atmosphere I talked about, being out in the summertime by the woods area, canoeing in the lake there? That song also brings that atmosphere to light, that scenario. And
I think he did a cover of the Disc Masquerade song by Leanne Russell, too.
Yes, he did, yes. I remember the album Breezin'. One of his big instrumental songs there. I mean, one of my teachers brought in that whole record, and she cited that this Masquerade was one of her favorites on that album there. I was listening to the
It's
title cut.
interesting how many songs Leon Russell wrote that other people did and made hits of,
That's true there, yeah.
because that's not the only one.
Let's also not forget his other 80s hit, Give Me the Night,
Hmm.
as well there. That was a big hit on the radio there. And also, I guess let's not, the first time I heard of him really fully as a singer was when he did his version of Love Ballad, the old LTD song.
Yeah, yeah. Then the next one was, I think, America's last big hit, You Can Do Magic.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I
I
remember
don't
that
think
song.
they had anything else as that big after that.
I think they released a follow-up record called follow-up song called The River. I think the name was. I don't think it's
Yeah, but it
something
didn't
about.
do matter.
I know, yes, it didn't really do that much there. And at that time, it was originally a trio, but it was a two-piece at that time there. I guess one of the
Yeah, one of
members
the
is
guys
left.
left, but I don't know what happened.
That's true there. We don't know. Who knows?
Then a Ray Parker Jr. song besides Ghostbusters, The
Hmm.
Other Woman.
Yeah. You know what? I gotta look up the video for that song because I remember seeing that one time. Me and my sister. And my sister was not happy about that video because of the fact that that song had a lot of some. Let me look it up here on the YouTube here. We all know the we know the concept of behind the other woman there.
Right.
Yes, we know. Let me look it up here. It was about infidelity,
Yeah.
and that's that time Ray
Then
Parker
you
was.
had,
Go ahead there.
well, go ahead because you're still on a track.
And I'm
I
looking
was
up the.
moving.
I was looking up the video. It was like a. It was to play. It was like a horror movie feel to the song there. Okay, and I'm looking through the video in mute there. They're going to a haunted house. They see all these Dracula lookalikes up there.
Maybe
Let's
that's where they got the idea for Ghostbusters.
maybe who knows. And and Ray Parker's you look at like Blackula when you look at it. We got a mummy dancing, a witch dancing, Frankenstein dancing. Let me see here, blah 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 here. There was this one scene there which Parker is with his guitar dancing in the middle of a pentagram with candles all around. Actually, all of them are dancing around the
Mm.
pentagram there. And my sister, when she looked at that, she was like, "Oh shit, this is demonic! What the hell, dude?" Man, she was not
Next one
happy.
I got is Asia.
Yeah, what
Heat
did
of the moment.
and later on with what Only Time Will Tell, Soul Survivor, one of the big super groups of that year for in the prog rock world. There, we had Carl Palmer from Eversley.
The first album. Go ahead.
Yep, Carl Palmer from Eversley and Palmer, Jeff Dowse from Yes and the Buggles, Steve Howe on guitar from Yes, and of course John Wetton from Uriah Heep and King Crimson.
Yeah, and that first album was killer, and then they kind of lost track. The second album wasn't near as good, although it did have some good stuff on it.
Yeah, like
Uh,
absolutely there. Like Don't Cry was a good song there. And of course, The Smile Has Left Your Eyes
right.
was a follow-up single
And
to
that was
that.
pretty much the side of it.
Yep. So I know they released a third record later on, but Steve Howe had got out of that group. They got somebody else in this place. Steve Howe would hook up with Steve Hackett, formerly of Genesis, and put together GTR. And they had this one
Yeah.
song in '86 called "When the Heart Rules the Mind."
Next one I got is Stevie Nicks and Don Henley, Leather and Lace.
Yep.
Then you got, we mentioned this a while ago, the Jay Giles band Freeze Frame.
Yeah, that's right. The album there. Yeah, absolutely. You got to mention that song. Flamethrower from that same album. That was a badass song. I remember the Electrifying Mojo would play that song on his program a few times. Good stuff there.
Yeah. Then you had Dan Fogelberg, leader of the band, which was a song about his father.
Hmm.
Very good song.
Yeah, very. It's a good homage to his father as well there.
Yes, it was.
Absolutely. I think he had his first. I think he had this only one music video called "The Language of Love," and that was from
Yeah.
a record called "Windows and Walls." And if I understand, he never made another video after that. I guess.
Yeah, he wasn't. He really wasn't big on videos.
That's,
Got quite a catalog of great songs and albums.
yep.
I'm a fan.
Yep. My
Then you
so.
got Ario.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
REO Speedwagon.
Uh, yeah, Keep the Fire Burning.
Oh yeah, that was from their follow-up record to High Infidelity, and for some reason that record, the whole album, didn't succeed as much as High Infidelity did for some reason. But they would
No,
get back to be able,
really,
they would return to the charts with an album called Wheels Are Turning.
right. And then we mentioned this a while ago, or I did.
Yep.
Juice Newton, Love's Been a Little Bit Hard on Me.
Mm-hmm.
Next, I got Soft Cell, Tainted Love.
Yeah, that song, by the way, is a cover, by the way, there. Let me look it up and
Yeah.
see what the song is about there. Give me a couple minutes there. All right, there. Okay, let me look it up here. Tainted Love. All right. Okay, here we go there. Of course, it's a. All right, here we go. Blah, blah. The original version of this song was by the Four Preps. It was recorded by. It was composed by. No, let me get this straight. Duh. What am I talking about? It was originally recorded by Gloria Jones in 1964. It was written by Ed Cobb from a band called the Four Preps. It attended worldwide fame after being covered by the group Soft Cell in 1981. It has been covered numerous times by other artists, including Marilyn Manson. And there's another version by a Detroit band I remember seeing called Detroit Energy Asylum. That was somewhat similar to the Soft Cell version. And also let's see here. There's other versions. Let's see here. Blah, 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 blah. Coil. Let's see here. Gloria Jones, Coil, Inspiral Carpets, and a couple others there just as well there. And that's about it so far on that song.
Then we got Wasted on the Way by Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Yep. I guess it was one of their last big hits there, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yep.
Then you got Jackson Brown, Somebody's Baby.
That's
Pretty
true
good
there.
song.
Somebody's Baby. That was from the Fast Times of Ridgemont High soundtrack from '82 there. With featuring, that's when we first got a glimpse of Sean Penn. And his character of, forgot his character's name, but he was like, hey bud, let's party.
And you got a good glimpse of Phoebe Cates. Yeah.
Oh yeah, very glimpse of Phoebe Gates. Whatever happened to her? Because she was a hot chick back then. There.
I think she just dropped acting.
Oh wow!
I think she just decided she wasn't going to do it anymore.
Yeah. I know she married another actor, Kevin Kline, for a good long period there. I don't know if she's one. Let me look her up, see how she is and what she's doing now there. Once again, there, give you a couple of minutes there. Phoebe Gates. All right, let's see what we got here. No, that's not that Phoebe Gates. We're talking about Bill Gates' daughter. We're not doing that. I don't think so.
No, it's Phoebe Cates with a C.
Phoebe Cates. Oh, okay, my bad. I just had that.
No, with a G with a C.
My bad. I always thought it was a G, but then again, what am I supposed to do?
No,
There we go. She's a former actress, known for her roles in Gremlins, Drop Dead Fred, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. She married Kevin Kline in 1989. She's now 59 years old. You know, and she looking at her right now. She still looks good for her age. I guess she's still
Hmm.
married to Kevin Kline, if I guess. Mm-hmm. Right. Very unique
Okay.
looking lady there. Yeah.
Yeah. And next one I got is Take It Easy on Me, Little River Band.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I guess that's on the same record that Lonesome Loser and Cold Change was on. No, not my bad. That was the same. I don't know the name of the album, but it was on the same record that the Night Owls was on. That was when they debuted their other singer, their new bass player at that time as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got Paul McCartney, Take It Away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which features Ringo Starr in the video and the drums there.
And then next we got a collaboration with Joe Cocker and Jennifer Warnes, Up Where We Belong,
That was.
which I believe is in Officer and a Gentleman.
Yep, it was. You know what?
Wasn't that in that movie?
Yep, it was in that movie, and that movie became a big hit as well as a song. It gave Jennifer Warnes a big name, and also proved that Joe Cocker can really sing a good ass ballad. You know, but then again, those were ones that say that obviously forgot about "You Are So Beautiful." He sang that song years
Right.
before that, and that was regarded as one of his big classics there.
Then we got Lindsey Buckingham's I Think I'm in Trouble.
Oh yeah, I remember the video for that. Everybody was on there. You know, Bob Welch was in that featured in that video. Mick Fleet was featured in that video. Many friends and allies were featured in that video there. You know, and the name of the album that it came on was called, get this, Law and Order, which really became the name for the TV series
Yeah.
created by Dick Wolf.
And the next one you got is Daryl Hall and Oates,
Again,
Did It in a Minute.
good song there. You know, give Hall Notes their credit. They really also ruled the 80s music scene as well there. I mean, not just the songs we mentioned, but also like Method of Modern Love, One on One, you know, Adult Education. Their stint with the thing they did at Apollo with Eddie Hendricks and David Ruffin for the Temptations, to some Temptations melodies there. And also, let's not forget their original version of "Every Time You Go Away," which Paul Young would make a big hit a couple of years later.
Yeah. I hesitate to mention, I don't think I want to mention the next one.
Who
What the
is it?
heck?
Who is it?
Buckner and Garcia, Pac-Man Fever.
Oh gosh, dude, dude, I cannot tell you the amount of arcade games was popping up left and right. There was this one place
Yeah.
in Roseville, Michigan. Me and my best friend would hang out there a few times, play a few games, like whether it's uh, Pac-Man or we tried Dragon's Lair for a while there. I didn't cut the mustard that much when it came to those kind of games there, but half the other games
Yeah.
I kind of forgot there. But there was, you remember that little thing where you twist the knobs so like a soccer game or something like that there? I went overboard on that game, and the ball just we were supposed to be kicking in with those little knob things there, went right up in the hiss, took out the light up above it. I was like,
Hmm.
oh crap, I'm going to get in trouble. We got to pay for damages. No, the owner Vince was like, no, it's okay, brother. He just put the regular ball in, but light bulb in there. But I was embarrassed after that because like, oh crap. Even my best friend is like, like, you go too hard on that stuff. You need to chill out, you know.
Okay, next one I got is Huey Lewis and News, Do You Believe in Love?
That was one of the big hits there. I think the first record they had out was called Sooner or Later, and later on, Who Cares? And this was the second record they came out with that hit single there. And
And
by the way,
eventually they'll move on.
Wait a minute. Before I mention, the video for that song featured Huey kind of like in a mocking, but in bed with the female lead actress in that movie there. She's pretending to be asleep. And the rest of the band are in bed with her in full clothing. And Huey said that he was hot. You could tell he was sweaty because he was wearing this sweater while filming that scene there. It was extremely hot wearing that sweater there.
Hmm.
Yep.
Young Turks, Rod Stewart.
Featured their drum machine. At that time, drum machines were becoming the rage along with the Hall Notes song there. And we also see
Yeah.
in the video there, drum the man we just mentioned at the top of the program, Carmine Apiece, or Appice.
Yeah. And then you had 38 Special, Caught Up in You.
Good song there. I guess in terms of
Yeah, they had a
lot of hit songs.
yeah.
Yeah, in terms of how Southern rock is perceived as this wild, crazy, whiskey drinking, raise hell kind of stuff there, they're a lot more softer when you think about it there. It just
Yeah.
relied on the songs, and that was about it, you know.
Yep.
hmm
Then one we mentioned earlier, well, I don't know if we mentioned it or not, Vacation by the Go-Go's.
That was her follow-up single there.
Crimson and Clover, we did mention
Yes, we
Joan
did.
Jett.
Yeah, that's right there.
Eddie Money, Think I'm in Love.
Yeah, that was one of his big comeback hits after that little situation he got himself into. Apparently, what it was is that he OD'd one time, and I guess he had to bring him back into life. The doctors did. He had to learn how to walk again, like a 2-year-old, because of how many drugs he was doing.
Mm,
So another reason to stay away from drugs. And what? Here's something else he stated in an interview. He stated that when you do something like that, you just don't hurt yourself. You hurt your band
hurt
members.
everybody around.
Absolutely. You hurt your family, you hurt your band members, you hurt your management, you hurt your record label, and you hurt your fans.
Then we had the Rolling Stones, Waiting on a Friend.
Good song. Great closing track to the Tattoo You album there. I had that album there, and I enjoyed listening to a lot of good stuff there, other than Start Me Up. Well, Worried About You's a
Yeah.
good one. I got to look that song up there because that song was on my mind a couple times at work, just out of the blue. Heaven was a good one there. No Use in Crying. Also, let's not forget, Slave or Black Limousine, Neighbors. That whole album was one of my favorites next to Emotional Rescue there.
Then you had the Flock of Seagulls, I Ran So Far Away.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Which, by the way, a band called Sunshine Blind did their excellent cover of Years down in the 1990s there. And they did it almost perfect to the original when you think about it there.
Yep.
And of course, that was when we would start seeing the keyboard player and singer sparkle these weird hairstyles that everybody would copy later on down the line.
Yeah.
And the secret was
Then
he was a hairdresser himself while playing in this band.
And then we had the song we mentioned that was made famous by the Sopranos, Don't Stop Believing.
Yep, by Journey.
And a couple of Elton John ones, Blue Eyes,
Good song there.
Empty Garden, Hey Hey Johnny.
For John Lennon, his friend who got murdered in a couple years before that song came out.
Yeah. And Stevie Nicks, Edge of 17.
What is the story behind that song? I always wondered about that. Was it tell us a story about a disadvantaged youth or something like that there? I wanted to look that up because I was always intrigued by the subject of that song there. Let me look it up there for a couple of seconds.
One of her best songs, I thought.
But it's still played on it was played on the radio no matter what there. Okay.
Yeah.
Right there. Edge of 17. Right. Okay. Topic. Okay, we know that song. Blah, blah, blah. Come on, come on, come on. Try to get down there. Thank you very much. Oh, it comes up other things like Edge of 17, song. Here we go there. Okay, let me look up on the good old Wikipedia about the subject. Like, and by the way, that song, the guitar riff of that opening guitar riff was used in a song called Bring. Now, believe it or not, one of the guitar players who played on that song, Waddy Wattel, claimed that the song Bring on the Night by the Police was the inspiration for the riff. As typical of Nix's songs, the lyrics are highly symbolic. And
Yeah, a lot of times they mean something, but they don't mean anything.
absolutely there. Now, I want to know what the song is about. Is it about somebody there? And apparently, here it is. The lyrics were written by Stevie to express the grief resulting from the death of her uncle Jonathan and the murder of John Lennon during the same week of December of 1980. The song features a distinctive chugging, a 16-note guitar riff, drum beat, and a sample chord structure typical of Nix's songs. The song's title release was Edge of 17, Just Like the White-Winged Dove. In the United States,
Right.
the song just missed out on the top 10 in the Billboard Top 100, peaking at number 11. Despite this, it became Stevie's most enduring and recognizable songs and has been covered by other artists, even sampled by Destiny's Child in one of their songs. I forgot, I'm going to look over here. Let's see here. Let's see here. I'm trying to find reception. Let's see here. It was, Record World praised the song for its powerful, for the Stevie's throaty vocal, the rhythm section, and the powerful lyrics of the song there. All right.
Okay. Next one I got is Kenny Rogers, Through the Years.
Good song from him there. That's another one.
And You Could Have Been With Me, Sheena Easton.
The Scottish songbird there. She had a lot of hits, including the theme for James Bond's For Your Eyes Only. As I stated before, I guess she was the only individual that featured while the introduction of the movie was playing during that whole song. Because usually just have all these images of women's of James Bond and all some sort of visual effect here and there, sliding back and forth here, there, left and right. This one had visuals of James Bond, guns and everything, hot chicks, while Easton was in the video there amongst the watery bubbles in the background there, lip syncing to the music there. Unique when you think about it.
Then we had Van Halen's cover of Oh Pretty Woman.
Yeah, you remember the video for that song? Oh my gosh. For those who have not saw the whole video for that song, check it out when you get the chance. This was one of the tripped out videos. This would be a beginning of a few tripped out videos that Van Halen would produce later on.
Okay, then we had The Police, Spirits in the Material World.
Good song there from them. Ghost in the Machine, the name of that album there.
Then Eddie Rabbitt had one of his bigger ones, Someone Could Lose a Heart Tonight.
Yes, I remember hearing that song. Or actually, I saw the video jukebox on HBO used to play that song a few times there.
Then the last one in I want to do two more.
All right.
In 1982 were Any Day Now, Ronnie Millsap. Body Language by Queen.
Oh, and that was one of their not so popular songs that they put out at that time there. They had this record called Hot Space, and I guess side one was mostly danceable songs, more funky songs. I guess they were convinced to come out with another version of Another One Bites the Dust, knowing how big that song hit a couple years back. So they decided to put out Body Language, Dancer, or Stay in Power, which was more disco-y type of stuff there. But it just didn't cut the mustard.
Typical record executive thinking.
Exactly there.
I don't know how these and I'll call them what they are. I don't know how these dumbasses get in charge of records.
I don't know. I don't. Your guess is good as mine. But then again, you gotta remember, record labels are about do whatever it takes to sell the product. Make money, sell records, make money, sell the records. That's what they're about. That's all they care about. By
Yeah.
hook or crook, like even if the artist can't sing with the crap ass, sign them anyway because they look good. To get somebody else to do the vocals for them. That's what happened with Milli Vanilli years on down that decade there.
Yeah.
And yet, and what the funny
Yeah.
thing is that when it was revealed that they were fake as hell, the record company that put out that record was like, embarrassed? We are? We sold how many thousands of copies of that record? See, that tells you their integrity right there. And your other record label would be like, we can't believe we put out this dingleberry of an album by this dingleberry of a group. Ah! But, like I said, it's all about
Yeah.
making money.
They don't care
Yep.
what they release.
What they
Anyway, we've reached our time.
Yeah, I know we have. Now, what I'm gonna do is, since we have a part one that we were on before the stream abruptly ended, and of course I'm gonna re-record this. So this show will be back up in its full scale immediately when we're done live here. I'm gonna re-record it and get on the ball here. And tomorrow night on Movie Madness, me and Ark, and hopefully we'll get YR and Keith on and somebody else on the call here to participate in this discussion. Now, we had this discussion about this lady here a couple years back, but we
Yeah.
still need to discuss her again because, for the obvious reasons, And we're speaking of Stephen King's Carrie. We're going to look at all the film series about her, the discussion on her and how she's considered a predecessor to all the school shootings that occur years on down the line. We invite everybody to come listen, hang out, call in, whether it's Casey, his Raw, Sean's View, or Dave Rose, anybody out there. We're extending an invitation to people calling in. We do. Just stay on topic, okay?
Right.
You know what? One of these days, I
Yep.
should get a hold of. You remember Kevin Hamilton and Bobby McMillan?
He kind of they
Yes.
came on. They were on with you before I did anything with you.
Well, I think so. Yes, we did that conversation, did those shows with Bullfrog a couple of times there, and of course, that was when you came in the chat saying you didn't want nothing to do with Bullfrog when we started our stuff there. And of course, I remember all three of us had a conversation of what was going on at that time, including Pepe Le Pew being canceled, of all things.
Yeah.
Right. So, tomorrow night, Movie Madness with me and Ark there, and hopefully, like I said, we get YR and Keith on the call here during this discussion here. Until then, everybody have a good night. I don't know what I'm going to be doing after I re-record this program and upload it from there. But we will see you guys tomorrow. For Ark and myself, you guys have a good night. All right, bye-bye.
Alrighty. And I will talk to you tomorrow about the same time.
All right, good. All right, bye-bye.